Hello. What I've got here today are three sample deck lists for the Pioneer format using cards from the new set, Duskmourn, so let's go over them, shall we? The first one I got here is a Magna Changelings deck. Now this is something I've always had an eye on. Pioneer does have Masked Vandal, Magna has Mutavault, Springleaf Drum if you were to go that route. Their Smuggler's Copter recently unbanned, well, recently in quotation marks. Yeah, what was that, like a year ago? Ugh, getting old. So what new Duskmourn card are we playing and why are we trying to finally do Magna now? Well, Leyline of Transformation. This card is awesome. You begin with it on the game, you begin with it. At the beginning of the game, you begin with it on the battlefield. Oh my goodness, there we go. And so this allows you to make every single creature you control a dwarf. Now, why is this important? This seems a little clunky. You're kind of dependent on it being in your opening hand. Well, the issue with Pioneer Magna Changelings versus, say, Historic or Modern is that we don't even have any one-mana Changelings in Pioneer. Zero. Zilch. But if we begin with the Leyline on the battlefield and we play a one-mana creature, that's essentially a one-mana Changeling. So this is basically 4 one-mana Changelings, assuming we have a one-mana creature to go along with it, which chances are we do. We're playing 7 of them. Also, if you were to have Jaspera Sentinel or Citadel Stalwart, they both basically do the same thing, and they were a dwarf. Turn 1 this, turn 2 play Magna, tap. It's a dwarf, so you make a treasure, you're tapping Magna, you make another treasure, you make a mana on top of that. 3 mana turn 2, and now this is better than any 1 mana Changeling star you can have in another format, so this has a higher ceiling. Okay, cool, we've got some cheese factor. Now maybe this has enough juice, enough power to actually go for it. What else are we playing to complement the Leyline of Transformation? Well, this deck has a unique combo compared to previous versions and previous formats. We've got Ginny Fae here, so if you were to make a token, you can instead make a 2/2 cat, a 3/1 dog. Those stats don't matter too much. The important thing is treasures can be made into creatures. And if those creatures become dwarves with the new Leyline, if you were to tap those creatures, they would make another treasure, which makes another creature. So basically Magna plus Ginny Fae plus the Leyline plus a free tapper, so Smuggler's Copter, gets you infinite tapped creatures. So you win the game on your next turn. That is good enough most of the time. How much can we really be asking for here? We've got infinite creatures. I'm not going to complain too much. Alright. So we are playing some changes. What are like the actual changings we're playing in case that we don't draw the Leyline? Well, we've got Masked Vandal, we've got the 3-tree Mascot. We're only playing 8. These are the only semi-playable ones. 3-tree Mascot I'm not even sold as playable. It's unfortunate that these suck so much, but we kind of are priced into playing them with our archetype. And because we're playing Changelings, we really do want another Changeling payoff. Like Magna, amazing, we need a second one. Very unfortunate timing, Sorin just got banned. This deck would 100% play Sorin Vein Ripper if it can. That would be the second Changeling payoff your Sorin, because you've got all these vampires. And you can also like put in Graz, because it would be a vampire if you were to do that. It would be so sweet. But yeah, it just got banned right before the set release, so unfortunately we will never see the light of day for that. So what did I decide on? I decided on Breaches. It is very possible there's a better payoff out there, because it is kind of hard to search specifically for creature type payoffs, since there's not one keyword you can kind of search in Scryfall, but this is the best one I found. So whenever pirate attacks, you may either create a treasure, exile the top card of your library, or a creature cannot be blocked this turn. Treasures, we've got some synergies with treasures. Exile the top card of your library, that's important. We do want card advantage in here, because we're playing a lot of bad cards, so we are hoping to make up for our bad card quality by drawing some cards off the bad cards. So Breaches is here. It's okay. Just really want 8 payoffs, which is why Breaches is here. Smuggler's Copter, that's the second card. So second to last card I did not talk about. Free tap effect. Awesome. It's just a good card. You play on turn 2, turn 3, you crew it, you can loot. Discard maybe a bad Changeling, discard a Leyline that you drew, and it's unfortunately stuck in your hand. You can discard Graz, because you're not usually hard casting that, although if you make a lot of treasures, I don't know. If you're playing as control, discard Failable. It's very nice to have a looting effect in this type of deck with a lot of cards that are only situationally good. Alright, final card to talk about here, Pyre of Heroes. If we've got a leyline out, every creature is the same creature type, Pyre of Heroes is basically Birthing Pod. We can turn one of our 1-mana creatures into a Magna. We can turn any of our changelings, even without the leyline, into a Breaches or Ginny Fade. This is how we are able to tutor our combo piece here. Yeah, should be interesting. If we were to discard a 1-mana creature, we could also go get Masked Vandal and exile the 1-mana creature we just sacked from my graveyard to exile a thing. Alright, well that's it with the non-lands. Let's go into the lands here. Cavern of Souls, Plaza of Heroes, Secluded Courtyard, Mana Confluence, whole bunch of rainbow lands. Now looking at the actual creatures, we don't have too many colors among our changelings. We're like green, red mostly, and then black for Fatal Push, blue if we ever intend on hard casting that. We've got a lot of colored mana from our mana dorks and our treasures and whatnot. The reason I chose this many rainbow lands is because I intend for a future sideboard to have some neat little creatures that you can tutor with Pyre of Heroes or just draw normally, and you can cast no matter the colors. So for example, there's that 1/2 mana creature's Angel Plays, which is whenever an angel enters the battlefield you gain 4 life. I think that'd be pretty cool to have in this deck against aggro decks, but we need white for that. And well, I have the mana base set up so we can cast that. Alright, that's the first deck. Let's move on to the second deck here. Alright, here's the second deck list I've got. It is a Spelunking, Scapeshift, Splendid Reclamation combo deck, so let's go over what the actual combo is first, because that is quite important to understanding what the deck is trying to do. If you have Spelunking and you cast Beseech the Mirror, you can go find Scapeshift. With Scapeshift, you sack all your lands, you get Lotus Field, Mystic Sanctuary, Hidden Necropolis, Gingerbread Cabin. With these cards, Mystic Sanctuary, you put Beseech the Mirror back on top of your deck, you cascade into it with the Hidden Necropolis, you cast it, you sacrifice the food off Gingerbread Cabin to trigger the bargain, or for the bargain I should say, you go tutor Splendid Reclamation. Cast Splendid Reclamation, return all the lands from your graveyard to the battlefield. You sacked 4 to Lotus Field, and you sacked Hidden Necropolis on its own, so you get back those 5 cards again. Mystic Sanctuary puts back on top Splendid Reclamation. You cascade into Splendid Reclamation, you get back your lands, you sack to Lotus Fields, you do this again and again and again and again, infinite mana, and then instead of sacking Gingerbread Cabin to the Lotus Fields, you can go sack Festering Gulch and loop the Festering Gulch an infinite number of times and win that way. Now this deck can also combo thanks to Bloomburrow here. You got Lumra. 2 Lumras. Actually, pardon me. So if you have a Lumra, you don't even need 2. You can mirror pool the Lumra. Legend rule. Lumra will enter again. You'll mill 4 cards. You'll return some of the lands you sack to the Lotus Fields plus mirror pool. You sack the Lotus Fields plus 2 other lands. You sack the mirror pool to get back the Lumra. And the cool thing about this one is that if you only have 5 lands, or you only have 4 lands or something, and you aren't able to get the Festering Gulch in your first try, you can mill your entire deck by looping the Lumra, so you will eventually find the Festering Gulch, and then you loop the Festering Gulch plus Lumra plus Mirror Pool, and you ping your opponent infinite number of times that way. Cool. Awesome. Alright, well, now that we're done with the deck explanation, let's go into what it actually got from Duskmourn here. Insidious Fungus. So this is a 1-mana creature. You can pay 2, sack it to destroy an artifact, destroy an enchantment, or draw a card. Then you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. That's the important part. Now the historic version of this deck, it plays, well, a bunch of cards that unfortunately Pioneer does not have, but it also plays Explore. Pioneer does not really have an Explore in these colors. We've got Growth Spiral, but I did not feel like splashing blue. That would make the deck too inconsistent. This is also some nice incidental artifact enchantment hate, but that's not really going to be too relevant. With Insidious Fungus plus Arboreal Grazer plus Spelunking plus Azusa's Many Journeys, we have enough ramp to make the deck consistent. Now there have been decks like this floating around, but they don't really even play Arboreal Grazer. They just go for the Golgari midrange that intends to combo on a later turn. This is much faster than those. Because we're playing 16 extra land cards, we're playing 4 at Archway. We are going to run out of lands in our hand unless we do something about it, and this is the best thing we can do about it. We put this into play, return the land to our hand. We're not really going down cards, we're going up mana. That's awesome. Alright, now, there are some deck building constraints with Beseech the Mirror. We do have to have bargain material. What are the bargain material we currently have? We got, well, Azusa's Many Journeys. That's an additional land card that's also an enchantment. Awesome. Maze Mind Tome. This is something that we can filter our colorless mana into because we are playing the 4 Arid Archway. We're not playing too much colorless. Well, we're playing somewhat. It would be nice to have more. This is a cool place to sink that colorless mana into. Also, obviously, bargain material. Also, card advantage because we're playing a lot of cards that just kind of put lands into play. We're playing a lot of lands themselves. We need to find the good stuff. So, card advantage, awesome. Meat Hook Massacre. We do have to do something about these super fast aggro decks. Just so happens that this board wipe is also bargain material, which is awesome. And then Spelunking, technically, you're never really going to sack that unless you draw 2. Which is, it's fine. So this is about the amount of bargain payoffs I play in the historic version for Beseech the Mirror, and that version is consistent, so this version should be consistent as well. Awesome. Let us get into our third deck. For our third and final deck, what we've got is 5-color Legends. 5-color Legends combo. 5-color Legends combo with Slogurk, Rona, and Inti. You may recognize this core from Standard. This is the same thing but in Pioneer. Let's go over what it's trying to do. You've got Inti, you've got Rona, you've got Slogurk, you've got Relic of Legends. This core provides insane card advantage, insane mana advantage, especially Rona plus Relic of Legends. Every time you cast a legendary spell, you untap her, you're essentially netting a mana. And you also get some insane interaction. With Beseech, 3 of them, 4 Ottawaras. And you can just, they're often 1 mana, these Ottawaras. And when Ottawara is 1 mana, and it gets you an extra card with Inti, and it buffs the Slogurk, you can get it back with Slogurk. Yeah, this card turns out to be pretty insane very quickly. We've got some generic interaction, but there are some combos. Let me go over a few of the combos. Rona plus Relic of Legends plus Honest Rutsting for the mana discount plus a Sararak is a combo. You cast a Sararak, you tap a Sararak for mana, you tap the untapped Rona for mana, and then you use that 2 mana for a Sararak because it costs 1 less from the Rutstein. Again and again and again and again, you go through the dungeon, that pings them on the way through. As long as you have more cards in your library, because you do draw a card from that dungeon, you will kill them before you deck yourself. Also, we've got Tashar plus some Slogurk, so what we can do with that is you can Ottawara, return Mox Amber, play Mox Amber, Tashar, return Slogurk. Slogurk will die, Legend Rule, get back Ottawara, you Ottawara your own Mox Amber, you play Mox Amber, so on, so forth. That gets you infinite mana right there. If you have an Inti, you also excel your whole deck until you can find the Acerak, and then as well as the Rona and the Relic of Legends and all that, and you can just win through that way. You can also loop Soaking Sun. Okay, those are just generic combos. What are the new cards? Well, Say Its Name is quite an exciting cantrip. So let's go over what it does first. I suppose you mill 3, then you may return a creature or land from your graveyard to your hand. We've already got 4 Takenuma. Takenuma is awesome in this deck. It's cool to have another of that effect. It does make us more reliant on the graveyard, but so is life. This also gives us an alternative angle to attack from by putting in this big 9/9 creature. No longer will Fatal Push destroy our entire deck. We've got this 7 mana, 9/9, whenever we get the target with a spell or ability, draw a card. That is awesome, that is powerful. We can loot these away with Rona and Inti to supercharge this, so we can get 3 in the graveyard quicker. And also, it's nice to say, turn 2, say its name, get back something, play Slogurk, know that if it dies immediately on the turn cycle, you can get back some of the lands you milled over. So it's not, because previously, before, if you didn't have a Rona, you would play Slogurk on turn 3 very often with 0 lands in the graveyard, it would die, and you'd be pretty sad. That will happen a lot less often. Also, you can get a creature into the graveyard, and then turn 3 cast the Honest Rutstein. There's also something to do against control when you feel like they're holding up a removal spell. This may not end up making the final cut, but I think it's quite promising, and I'm very excited for that. And with that, that's the final deck tech. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what cards you're excited for in Pioneer, and peace.